All right, everybody. Welcome to the Mill Street Manor apartment syndication update webinar. It's May 14th, and this is a webinar that has our property, and it's basically a 5-month, almost half a year update from when we bought the property, from where we were to where we are now. So as we get into the webinar, we have a slideshow we put together, and this is in the midst of COVID-19, so our, Brian and myself want to make sure everybody's informed on what's going on with the property, because everybody has a vested interest in it, and pleased to say that everything is going much better than at least Brian and I initially anticipated, and we'll kind of walk through the data and the metrics that we're looking at. It's a pretty analytical presentation that I'm sure a couple of people that are on will appreciate. So as you know, the apartment building was actually called Town Square Gardens. You see the building before. We renamed it to Mill Street Manor, put a brand new sign, monument sign up. So we'll get right into this, but we closed on this in December, at the end of December, so just call it January 1st of 2020. And if you guys remember, the original transaction was $5.5 million. We have a capital improvement budget of $325,000. 51 units, and pleased to say occupancy is like 98, 99. Right, Brian? Yeah, right now.
Yeah, we have one unit that's available right now. Yep.
1 2-bedroom unit, which I know is being shown, and I can actually look at it in my peripheral vision. I can see the realtor calling me, so I wonder if he has somebody. So we'll talk about this rent roll. So from when we purchased the property, if you guys remember, the original rents for 1 bedroom were around $919. Most of the tenants were at least paying their electric. Not all of them are paying their water. I would say, what do you say, Brian? Like 30% are paying the water?
Probably 30%, but every time we renew a lease, we put the water charge in their lease, so they take care of the water and sewer now.
Yep, exactly. And the utilities are all baseboard, so it's all electric baseboard, electric hot water heaters. So there isn't many issues. We do have natural gas at the property, which we'll talk about what we did there on one of the buildings. We were able to actually pass along that expense pretty much entirely to the tenants that rent to us. So when we underwrote this deal, we pro forma'd new average rent starting in year 2. So that year 2 meaning month 13, which would be, it would essentially be January 2021. So 1 bedroom, 1 bath rents we projected at $1,175, 2 bedrooms at $1,375, 3 bedrooms at $1,650. As you could see, where we're at today, the rents on average for 1 bedroom are $1,250 plus electric, and as Brian said, we're trying to pass as many water charges as we can. We can't do it with everybody, even though it's all separately metered. We do get a little bit of pushback, but it's not a crazy expense anyway. 2 bedrooms $1,450, and then 3 bedrooms around $1,650. So pretty significant from what we pro forma'd and even where we bought the building at. 2 bedrooms were, $1,100, and 3 bedrooms were $1,400. So.
And we're consistently getting those rents now. Still, in the last couple of months, we filled a couple of units, and we're still getting market rents even during COVID. So we're pretty happy about that.
Yep. So in terms of the percentage of the rent roll increase, it's about 70% since we bought it over 5 months. We have about 16 more apartments to go. We've raised 33 of them. As you can see, the expiration schedule is pretty staggered. We get to a majority of the remainder by September, October, and then we got a few more that expire towards the end of the year. So we're in a very great position to provide a liquidity event, whether that's in a refinance or disposition, where we should be able to get to all of these apartment rents, which would be a year earlier than what we originally forecasted. In terms of the collection and occupancy rates, you can kind of see it's pretty consistent. January when we bought it, There were some bad apples in there. Fortunately, we had to go through some evictions and kick them out, but we got exchanged for that higher rent, and we spent a little bit of money on their units. So in the midst of COVID, as you can see, April and even May, as of today, I think we only have like 2 or 3 tenants we're waiting for, right? It's not a lot for May.
Yeah, we got 2 right now. 2 right
Yeah.
now for May, so we're like 96% now.
Yep. So very pleased with that. And that kind of gives a testament to our investment thesis being somewhat of recession-proof. This is not low-end workforce housing, as you guys all know. This is more high-end workforce housing, but it's still not high-end product. But it's not the complete, mess. So when we're looking at the revenue that we originally underwrote, so for year one, you could just kind of see where we were when we bought the building, 558,000 less, 10% vacancy with turnover collections. Because when we bought it, it was around 90% or so. We'll probably average for the year, call it 95, maybe 96%. 558,000, what we underwrote for the first year. And then what we're getting now, we're on track on an annualized basis to do 673,000 in effective gross, assuming 95% occupancy. The pro forma for year two, we were looking at about 723,000 in effective gross revenue once all the rents were brought up to market at the levels we just talked about. What we're on track to do, based upon the new rents we're getting, it's about a $40,000 increase from what we originally projected in gross revenue on just the apartments. And as everybody well knows, we're looking into, and Brian's going to talk about that later, but building out an additional 4 apartments because we're way below on our construction budget. And this is going to add a significant boost of net operating income to the property. I mean, you're talking at least $50,000 based upon, what you see in these adjustments that we have. So as you guys know, there's garage units, self-storage units. They've been hovering around 92% occupancy. We were able to raise about 73% of them to $150. Brian was actually able to rent one at $175, which we were very pleased about, from an average of $92. There's also a bonus garage that we're currently renting now. He might end up giving it back, but there was still a bonus garage that we have the ability to rent that we never underwrote. So we just have to get to 8 more garage rents, and I think we have a couple garage vacancies right now, obviously, as you can see. But we raised most of the garages pretty quickly, and there seems to be some nice demand for garages in the area. A couple of things we did, Brian, if you want to talk about what we did with Sebco. I mean, it's not a huge boost, but
Yeah.
it's a little bit.
Yeah. So Sebco, we use Sebco. It's a laundry service, and they come in, they put in all their washers and dryers, and they also gave us a credit of $2,000 to redo this unit. And you see the new paint on the wall, the new paint on the floors, and all brand new washer and dryers. When we first took over this property, not many people like going in there, and not many people use that because half the washer and dryers didn't work. There's always complaints about it. So we thought the best option for us would get a third party in here like Sebco and take over all the maintenance, all the collections, so we don't have to worry about it. And as you can see, we're gonna get more income off these washer and dryers than the past owner did when he actually owned the washer and dryers, because as of right now, there's many more people using the washer and dryers, and they're much happier too, because whenever something happens to it, there's a big sign on the wall that says, this is the direct number you call if you have any maintenance issues, if one of the machines eats up your money, and the tenants seem to like that and seem to be using it a lot, as you can see with the money we're getting off it.
Yep. So for the end of the year, if you look at it on an annualized basis, it might even be more than $7,000, but that was pretty conservative, our share from the third party company. So a little bit of boost there, when we can. trying to always find ways to create value. Getting to that, and Brian, we could talk about some of these expenses. The original expenses that we underwrote for the deal was about 293,000. Obviously, as the longer we held it, the more our expenses are going to go up due to inflation. There's a few expenses that we're able to cut. The first one, Brian, if you want to talk about the contract with Black River.
Yeah, so we signed a contract with Black River. They do snow removal and landscaping. They're going to take over both, and for both of those services, they're only charging us $12,500 for the year, which is about $2,000 below our projected budget. So that's a big savings right there. They're the same company that actually did all of our exterior renovations, so we have belief and we have trust in them, and we know they're going to keep the property looking sharp. And also now we also have a super at the property that is an amazing super that has kept up with all the things outside that need to be picked up, some of the garbage if it's laying outside the dumpster. He keeps an eye on the property. If the lawn, if say the lawn Black River doesn't come or mow the lawn, he'll send pictures to us and we can get on top of that. So it's nice to have eyes and ears on the property now, what we didn't have before. To oversee some of those things that we can't keep track of all the time, with running the business and managing the business. So it's been nice.
Yep. So he's been great. And in terms of other expense savings, trash removal, Ryan was able to negotiate about a $3,000 decrease there for the year. And we kind of talked a little bit about what we're doing for the electric. We were able to bill back some electric that the previous owner was just paying. These are just estimations on how much they're going to save us. We haven't really seen a full cycle with those expense savings, but we're keeping track on it on a monthly basis right now. And this is kind of what we're estimating it to be when we go to the either a new lender or we go out to market, what we're going to show for a refi or a sale. So,
yeah, and we're saving quite a bit of money on the gas too. And with we have a stucco building on the property. It has 4 units in there, and they're both 3 bedrooms apiece. And the Newton Hospital has tenants or has patients in 3 of those units. And in their old leases, it says that they have to cover the gas bill for their units. And the old owner was not covering or was not billing the gas bill back to Newton Medical. So we've been doing that, and so 3/4 of every single gas bill on that 4-unit property or 4-unit building is getting billed back now. So it's going to save us on the gas too.
Yeah, pretty significantly, and gas is, as you can see, it adds up. We talked a little bit about the water and sewer savings. So every time we sign a new tenant, we try to get them to pay the water bill. It doesn't always work, but it works sometimes, and they agree to pay it. And then in terms of R&M, I don't think we've spent $20,000 on, or even close to that number. I mean, we've been using our construction draw for the improvements that we've been making to the property. So that R&M number might be lower, when we go present to a new lender or to market. That $20,000 number, we could justify that with all the capital we've spent on the building. But it's tough to say. And then, as Brian mentioned, we got a new super. We didn't have a super until last month. Brian and I have literally been just going up there and making sure everything's soup to nuts, probably every week, sometimes twice a week. And we finally found someone we like and we trust. And for those involved in the second Newton deal, he's going to be overseeing basically all the properties. So right now he's getting $300 a month, and he'll be getting a free apartment starting in July. So that payroll number is going to be pretty much the same if you look at it on an annualized basis. But he's been really good so far. So we're looking at least 12 grand. Yeah, go ahead.
No, we were very patient with that too. I mean, I would like to have a super on the property day one to kind of oversee it because we're an hour away and we only went up, 2 or 3 times a week. But it's nice having someone there every single day. And his name is Harry. And Harry used to be a super for a property down in Florida, and he moved up to New Jersey, and he is a tremendous super. He is do eyes and ears on the property. He's very proactive. He's calling us and looking for things to do. So it's a great find. And like Anthony said, he's going to be overseeing all of our properties in Newton. Not only this one, but the other 2 properties that we're about to close on soon.
Great. So this is kind of the nitty gritty stuff, which you guys definitely want to see. So when we're looking at NOI, obviously that drives the value of your building. When you go to the bank and look for a refinance, or you go to market to sell. So the underwritten NOI was about 300 grand when we bought it, and what we underwrote with, a 10% factor. Year 2, we were looking at like 480,000 or so with the lower rents. With the actual rents that we're getting and the lower OpEx, we're looking at, it's about a $50,000, a little bit more increase in NOI. About a little 530,000 at this point, if you look at it on an annualized basis. And that's, that NOI number is not going to be obviously for the first year. I mean, it's going to be up there, but it's not going to be that. But the whole point of this is to just show everybody what the potential new values are going to be when Brian and I are planning to look into a refinancing or a sale. So by the end of this year, hopefully the market kind of comes back. This is in the middle of COVID, and we're going to evaluate what makes sense and what doesn't for everybody. But as you can see, we're in a really great spot. And as you can see, we bought this property for $5.5 million. So conservatively at 7 caps on either scenario, where we're trailing at is about $7.5 million in value. And as we'll talk to a little bit more, we want to see if we can build 4 more apartments, because that's a tremendous increase in value. Tremendous, and that's within a year. We have a meeting with the planning board potentially on June 15th to see if we can get an approval and get that rolling. And we're really excited about the future in the next 6 to 8 months here on this deal. And we're going to talk about that. I have another slide on that. So in terms of what we projected a refinance month 20 at the end of year 2, which is month 24. As I just mentioned, we're trying to see if we can. It makes sense if we can get to everybody's rents in between month 12 to month 15. Obviously, this is subject to change, because if the country's locked down for another year, that might be a problem. But I don't see that happening. And we're also going to evaluate a refi versus sale and see what makes the most sense to maximize everybody's return. We haven't made a decision yet. It's way too early to say, but we're talking about it and we're evaluating all options. So as you can see, this is what we pro forma'd, and we should definitely hit this, be able to achieve these numbers. I just want to talk about the initial investment structure for you guys, so everybody's aware of the 8% preferred return. And here's what the investment would look like with the example of 100,000, and you could kind of do the math depending upon how much you contributed. I want to talk offline with everybody about that in terms of distributions, etc. As you can see, in the first year, we weren't planning to make, at least per the projections on this deal, because of the heavy value add, many distributions, but it seems that we were able to get the rents up quicker than we thought, and we do have enough money to make a distribution. Brian and I have run some numbers, and we're still running them, but we want to be in a good spot. There's some good positive news in New Jersey. New Jersey governor just announced that the beaches are planning to open. I think it's late next week or so, by Memorial Day. And then on Monday, businesses are allowed, curbside, non-essential. So we're going to continue to monitor New Jersey and see when it's the most sense to, if we want to make one, make one. But regardless, we're in a great spot within the next 6 months or so. Everybody's going to be very happy. In terms of what we did with the taxes, so everybody's aware they got their K1s for 2019. So for every $100,000 invested, everybody got about an $80,000 passive write-off, and not everybody was able to use it, but for those of you who've been able to use it, it's a great benefit, and I suggest you talk to your CPA a little bit more about it. The total cost to do that was $5,000, so obviously you can see this is 100% worth it. It was only owned one day in 2019 to get the bonus depreciation. They don't have to be used for 19. You can carry them forward to future years. And for 2020, obviously we're going to have income. We might be able to write off a lot of the construction costs that we are as well, which will hopefully wipe out majority of the income as well. So it's too soon to say, TBA, but this is what we're going to be looking into. And Brian has been really good at spearheading the construction, so he'll talk about where we are now and what we want to do moving forward.
Yeah. So when we took over this property from day one, we wanted to change the perception as soon as possible. So the first thing we did, we had our exterior contractor in there, Black River Landscaping, and they were in there day one, cutting down trees, ripping out sidewalks, putting in pavers for new sidewalks, planting new shrubs and bushes, and just doing repairs around the property to change that perception. Because when we first bought this property, the perception of the property obviously was not great because it was bad management and not ideal tenants. So the first thing we did was went in there and did our landscaping, and we're 90% through that. I'd say even a little more, probably 95% through that. Black River has done a great job. They have one more thing they have to do. There was a structural issue with one of the stucco building that they're repairing now, and they repaired it. All they have to do now is take down the support beams for the escape ladder for one of the upstairs units. But they're pretty much done. They're paid in full right now, and they did a heck of a job. And obviously, Anthony said that we're using for our snow removal and our lawn maintenance too. As for the interiors, we've been lucky on the interiors. We projected about $5,000 per unit, and we're gonna have to redo most of the units completely. But thus far, we've only redone, out of the 33 units that we raised rents on, we've only probably did work in about 7 of the units, and it was minimal work. And we're getting market rents with doing minimal work. From adding new countertops and painting cabinets, one of the units we did that with, and one of the other units we did laminate flooring throughout, and gave them a new vanity in the bathroom and new countertops. And one of the other units was we resanded the hardwood floors and got them new appliances. But from what we thought we were gonna have to do to get the rents up to market, it wasn't even close. And it's obviously now we have a more of a budget and a bigger budget now to put into building out these other 4 units. We had it in the construction budget, but we only had, I think, $20,000 or so set aside for building, $30,000 for building out 2 one-bedroom units. Obviously that was very low in the budget, but now, since we have such a big budget left over, we found some extra space on the building over on Hillside Terrace, and there was basically probably about maybe 2,000 square feet of upstairs space they're using as storage right now. The old owner was, and we saw value in that. And obviously you guys can see the value in that too by building those out and creating a higher NOI and creating value in the property. But we think we're going to set aside around $150,000 to build out those 4 units, and it's going to add tremendous value for all of us. So we're pretty excited about that. And obviously, Anthony mentioned it before, we have an architect, we have a land use attorney, and the land use attorney is actually the attorney for the town of Newton. So he gave us a lot of positive news, and he said, it's probably a 98% chance that you're going to get this approved. You're going to be able to go and build out these 4 units and add value to your property. And you guys should be pretty excited about that. I know we are. It's adding tremendous value.
Yeah, absolutely. And the town, we'll get to this a little bit. I have a couple slides on. Here's some of the renovations Brian was talking about.
Yeah, so those sidewalks were cement sidewalks, and there were tripping hazards. There was grass growing through them. There was cracks. They just looked awful. And we thought one of the best ways to, kind of spice up the property was put some pavers in there. Generally pavers don't last as long, but our hold period for this property is, we project 5 years. But it looks so much better. It's a lot nicer. The tenants love it. And obviously we had new shrubs. You can see the new shrubs, the new signage, new monument sign right there. That's probably one of the best monument signs in the whole entire town. And we got a good price on it too with Black River Landscaping. So you can definitely see that sign when you're driving by. You can see the bathroom. We put the new laminate in one of the bathrooms. And the before and after pictures for one of the kitchens here on the upper right-hand corner. And you can see what we did. It's very inexpensive and it looks so much better. We just painted the cabinets and added new countertops. That's it. And added laminate flooring throughout and painted the unit. And it looks so much better, and we're getting market rents.
Yeah, definitely. What I was trying to say before too is that when we originally were looking at this deal, Thor Labs is a big company up there. They're still under construction. Obviously, construction went to a halt. They're considered an essential business. Obviously, they service medical laboratories, and they actually did some PPE equipment for the crisis. So they're still moving forward with their master plan. They actually, this picture on the top right, I think they're like 80% done with that building already. That's like lab/office space, the former Camp Elif site. So they're still moving forward. Sussex Community did open. Sussex Tech did open right in the downtown area. I wonder what they're doing during this crisis, but they did open, so that's positive. NJ Transit is still moving forward. Obviously, everything just got delayed. So everything's still going forward and moving forward here in the town, and they're very pro-development. On Monday, construction in New Jersey is allowed to resume. Brian mentioned we have a vacancy, and we do have to do some work in there, but the contractor we were using, he didn't want to defy the governor's orders and start working, and neither did we. We just wanted to. He said, "Let's wait until you're ready." And on Monday, I think he's going to start on Monday, right?
Start on Monday. I was on the phone with him yesterday, and he's excited to get back to work. And he's getting a dumpster in there on Monday and starting to renovate that unit. That unit's actually pretty bad. The past tenant in there was a big smoker, and they lived there for a long time, and it's just disgusting. There's soot of all over the entire apartment, and that's probably one of our biggest and nicest renovations thus far. And it's going to look really nice when we're done. Pretty much have to redo the entire unit.
Yeah, and the good thing about that one too is it was originally a 1-bedroom, so we're gonna try to make it into a small. It's got 2 rooms, and it's got like a big open space. Not big, but it's got an open space. Try to make it and market it as a small 2-bedroom, so we can get more in rent than what we project. So a little bit more. We're not gonna get too much more because of the size, but we'll get a little bit more for sure. So that's pretty much it in terms of an update. We appreciate everybody for coming on here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stop recording, and then we're going to open it up to questions. So